Before writing code to manipulate objects in Flash, it is important to understand how Flash organizes those objects. In ActionScript, this is referred to as the display list. The display list contains two primary types of objects: display objects and display object containers. Display objects are visual objects like shapes, movie clips, buttons, and text fields. So I have a bunch of display objects on the stage. Now when I select them, you can see in the Properties panel that Flash does not call them display objects. Rather, they're their specific names like movie clips, a bitmap image, etc. But these all fall under the category of display objects. Some display objects are display object containers. Display object containers can contain other display objects and display object containers. Now that may sound kind of confusing, but just think of a movie clip. So on the stage here I have this border object, and if I double click the border, I'll enter its timeline. So the movie clip is a container. It's simply a container holding all of these frames. So I can click and drag, and we can see that. And inside of a movie clip, I can have shapes, which are display objects, or I can have other movie clips, which are display object containers. For example, I have this fall movie clip, and if I double click it, you can see it has its own display object inside of it. There's a bitmap image inside. So in code, a movie clip would be considered a descendant of a display object container because it has the same properties that display object containers have. A bitmap or a shape or a text field would be a descendant, also known as a subclass, of the display object group or class. Now I'll return to the main timeline. All display objects in an application are on the stage. You may remember in another movie, we added a keyboard event listener to the stage with a lowercase s. And that's where all display objects and display object containers reside. Another thing you need to understand about the display list is the language between children and parents. So the border on the stage would be considered a child of the stage. Now if I double click the border and enter its timeline, then from here, the stage would be the border's parent. And yes, it is correct to call things grandparents and grandchildren. But understanding that relationship is key to working with visual objects in Flash. So to recap, the display list is the term used to describe Flash's system for organization for visual objects and consists of display objects and display object containers.